So this is the April 12th meeting. Welcome everybody for the Advisory Committee on Sustainability. We are called to order at 12:01 and we have several guests attending our meeting. Ms. Bueno and Pam, private citizen, and Pamela Gary and Cassie Schull from the Parks and Recreation Department, who are going to share a few of their kind of projects and ideas of what they're working on that relate to some of the work we do. And I'm looking forward to hearing that. I'm going to start the meeting with a public comment period. Ms. Bueno, are you seeking to comment on today's meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm as I put in the notices, I'm going to limit public comment to 2 minutes, and we will then be getting into our guest speaker. So we'll start with you, and then we'll continue on with the meeting. And I will ask you for 2 minutes.
Okay. 12:03. I have a few comments. To start with, I want to bring. I don't know if any of you know that Wilton, instead of a swap shop, has like a consignment shop where they actually collect the stuff that here we put in the swap shop, and they sell it, and it benefits the schools. It's run by PTO members, volunteers. So just to put this out there, I don't know if anybody knows that, but it works very well in Wilton, and they raise a lot of money for the schools. Just putting that out there. The second thing I wanted to comment on is the Amazon boxes. I have plenty pictures of the real problem that is the Amazon boxes on the recycling. I'm not talking about the swap shop anymore, obviously, but I think that looking forward, given that all of us get a lot of stuff that we didn't used to get a box with, toilet paper, paper towel. I mean, I don't get paper towel, but whatever. The I think we need to think about an option for Amazon boxes, either a special station where they can be recycled, that people can go and pick them up, to reuse, or we can try to get Amazon to fund part of it and pick them up. I know Amazon picks up boxes and reuse them. I don't know what the system is, but that is something we need to explore, because a big percentage of our recycling has become Amazon boxes, and people don't put them apart, so who knows what gets recycled out of that. Um, and the last thing, so I don't leave this without character, I have not been able to see the supposed agreement that is being signed with the volunteers. I have asked for it now for more than 6 weeks since I learned about it, and I have not got a copy, and I would like to have one. Didn't even use my 2 minutes. Thank you very
Just
much.
I've got you just coming to 2 minutes. That was very concise. Thank you, Ms. Bueno. The volunteer agreement will be discussed in a little while, and I do have a copy of it. It has been revised and revised and revised many times. What I'd like to do before we get into that is to go through approval of the minutes. Cliff, are you available now? Are you all set here? I know you're not on camera.
Yeah,
I
in
would
fact,
like to.
I can turn on the camera too. I hope I don't shock anybody by my appearance, but here we go. There you go.
Okay. Okay.
And so, actually, just to complete your thought there, Kathy, you responded to Ms. Bueno's question about the volunteer agreement. It's not complete and approved yet. That's the issue. So it will become available, but it's not yet available to anybody. The committee's still working on it. Then we have to pass it over to the town administration. So who knows how long that's going to take, but it should happen pretty soon. So
But I would like to see it before it goes to the town. To give my opinions to the town, I need to be able to read what goes to the town, right?
We're going to vote on the. We're not going to. This is not going to be a back and forth conversation between the committee and Ms. Bueno right now. What we will do is be presenting and voting on an agreement once that agreement is voted on by the committee, I'd be sure you can have a copy of that at this point. It has not been discussed officially by the entire committee. It's been worked on separately. So that's where we're at. Thank you. Okay, I would like to get through the March minutes so that we can hear from Parks and Rec. The our secretary sent a draft. I had some changes. Cliff had some changes. She updated the Google document, and I believe my changes were all included. My changes were things like she had a 5% fee on mini bottles, and it was a 5-cent fee on mini bottles. And there was another small thing about that the weight of the textiles we collected was 73,000 pounds, not tons. So the changes that I needed made were corrected. Cliff, is there anything else that you needed before we take a vote?
My changes were actually now I see. All right, so the version that I saw just before this did not have them. Yeah, it's done. Mine are done. What I have now, and I've gotten it just to be sure we're getting it from the same source.
The Google document.
April 11th, Christine sent out this
Correct.
document, and that's the one that is fine.
Correct. The document that Christine circulated yesterday afternoon, the March 8th, 2023 draft minutes. Is there anyone who'd like to make a motion to approve?
So
I
moved.
just have one other thing, Kathy, to
Okay.
mention. I made the changes on the Google Doc, but I just, under Earth Day activities, I just wanted to say that I'm not hosting the Spring into Nature event. That's being hosted by the Darien Nature Center, and I will have a table set up for composting at that event. So I just
Yes.
made that.
Okay, I see that change. Thank you. So Cliff moved. Is there a second? Carolyn?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there anyone opposed? All in favor? Minutes are passed unanimous. Hi, Mohan. Okay. Get that out of the way. So moving right along, I would like to welcome Pam Gary, the Director of Parks and Recreation, and Cassie, who is, I believe, a program director in the department. I'm not sure if I got your title right.
Recreation Program Supervisor.
We just for perspective, because some are new on the committee or anyone in the community, we worked with Pam last year as we were filling out the sustainable CT application, had a number of conversations with her, as we did with other departments, like with Ally and Health and Human Services and Social Services, and learned a lot about what work was going on in their departments. And I would like, during the course of this year, that we hear from the people that are working on things. Maybe it will provide us with ideas of things to report back to the town, or we may know things that we could share with Pam. Carolyn and I had a fascinating conversation with her about food scrap recycling at the beach not too long ago when working on the application. So I thought, who better to, given her department is Parks and Recreation, to kind of be our first guinea pig welcome guest
Yay.
to the meetings, which I hoped would be in person today, but ended up because we had some travelers trying to do it and do it this way. So I gave her a very broad ask. Could she share any projects she is working on that kind of cover the areas of sustainability, recycling, environmental cleanup, things that her department is working on, and also to ask if there's anything the things that we work on, if we could provide any assistance back. So that being, I know, Pam, you work with an industry group or a group of your peers throughout the state, so you may know things that we don't know, and have ideas that we would love to know and share in the town. So thank you for agreeing to talk.
Oh, you're welcome. I feel honored to be part of it. So thank you. And I also, since our last discussion, I forget when that was. Maybe it was a year ago.
In the fall. Well, it was in the summer before we put that application into Sustainable CT.
But I learned a great deal from both of you, and it really intrigues me about how much we, should be doing as well, and can be doing. But again, like you said, it's ideas. It's trying to figure out realistic in our department since we have so many things going on. But I did use it as one of my goals in our performance evaluations to narrow down sustainability ideas for the budget funds that we have. And 4 of the things that I listed for my performance evaluation is to do better recycling, have better recycling efforts at our beaches by adding new recycling cans that help decision making while throwing away the garbage. Because all of our cans, they're just a hole, a big square hole that people just don't even think twice about separating anything. So, and it's unfortunate because those cans are so expensive. I mean, you're paying well over $1,000 for a garbage can. And then, of course, our guys, our park crew, they go down on the weekends and they're hauling away the trash. But once trash is put in the same can, they can't spend time separating it. So nothing gets recycled. So we did just invest in more cans, and this time they have just a small hole, right? So it's discouraging people from rolling up their plates and throwing them in there. Will it work 100%? I would hope so, but one won't know until we try. But I think it's just a good effort to do that. We're also going to be speaking with our concessionaire this year at Weed Beach. Some of you may not know, but the Pear Tree concession is closed due to the data we received on the Pear Tree Communities Survey. But at Weed Beach, we do about, I think she did $90,000 worth of sales there. And we're going to have a good conversation with her about trying to either collect food scraps in one area. So the problem with that, though, is when people get the food, then they walk over to wherever they're sitting. And so I'm not certain, but we're going to at least have a discussion about how we can either recycle or do food scraps there too.
And I think, Pam, that's one area where we could certainly sit with your concession, one of us or 1 or 2 of us, and then sort of set up situations and provide some support, some ideas, some guidance when you're doing that. Happy to help.
That would be fantastic, because I do think, as we talked, there needs to be education surrounding the cans, if you will. So we can do as much signage as possible, but I think when people are physically there saying, "Oh no, please, this is what this is for," it's just an education. So with that being said, we also want to bring this type of education to our community events as well. We also talked about that one company that we were going to hire before we canceled that event. But I think it's super important for the fireworks, for Oktoberfest, for any summer concerts we have, that we have units that are set up that have one area for food scraps, one area for recycling, one area for garbage. And I'm currently looking to try to purchase something that's lightweight and portable. I think having that company is really great, but I also think we should have something on hand that we can move from event to event to provide that type of resource. We're also introducing a Clean the Beach bucket project. And this got introduced to us by a community member, and it got a lot of legs underneath it, and now it's going to become an Eagle Scout project from one of our commission members' daughter, and she's going to be introducing that at our next commission meeting. And basically, she'll end up building a area, if you will, that have like shelving, if you will, where buckets can fit in those shelves. And there'll be signage there to educate, please, take a bucket and, you bring back the bucket, whatever trash you find while you're visiting the beach, and dispose of it and put the bucket back. So I thought that was a fun idea. And then one of the most exciting things that's happened over the last 7-8 months is that we have started an invasive working group. And maybe actually it's been maybe almost a year since we started it, but the movement in the last 7 months has been absolutely incredible. So where this has taken place is at Cherry Lawn. There have been trees of heaven removed. There's been, just invasive brush, shrubs, trees, all removed in areas that's opened up the landscape. Areas where you couldn't even see the pond anymore are opened up and beautified. And our park crew got heavily involved about 6 months ago, and they have taken about 160 truckloads of invasive material out of the parks between Cherry Lawn and Weed Beach. It is absolutely incredible. And if you haven't been to Weed Beach lately, please take a stroll where the picnic area is that leads, it's kind of like I think at one time they tried to make a natural pathway behind the picnic area that would pop out near the tennis courts in front. That whole area has been kind of filled with brush, and it's been a lot of mosquitoes, and it's a marshy area. They cleared it all out. The amount of acres, they're going to seed it, they've regraded it, and it is just beautiful. So, kudos to my guys. They've been working really hard for 6 months, and when Cherry Lawn gets drier, it gets really wet there, so they had to stop their work there. They'll continue their work there, and our invasive working group will keep continuing the discussion of where we will go next and keeping a log of what's been done. So pretty exciting.
Pamela, thank you for that. I was just going to say, we play tennis there on the back courts. We were wondering why is all of this space all of a sudden open and looking beautiful. So that gives the right context. So thank you for that. Great work.
Yeah. And they've removed well over 35 trees of heaven.
Yeah, we could see it. Yeah, it's fantastic. And no mosquitoes have reduced. Let me just say that they're not seeing any. So
wow.
Yeah, it's really phenomenal. We've actually, I think they must have opened up at least, I'm going to guess here, at least a handful of acres that was unusable that now is usable.
And that is fantastic. I have a couple questions relative to that. There's some feedback. Maybe I don't know if somebody can mute if they're a couple of questions with that. Have you shared that in the newsletter or the town newsletter or other ways? Like I know the Darien magazine that's doing some writing on people picking up waste and things. That there's going to be an article published that Carol and Amanda worked on, because this is a fabulous story that I think, if maybe you've already done this, but if not, the story of invasives, it's rampant in the community in many of our yards, and it's not to tear down good plants, but it's to get the bad ones that are choking out the good ones and bringing the bugs. And it's a huge part of the sustainable CT application, the management of invasive species. So this is a fabulous, I don't have any experience in this, but it's a fabulous idea, and I'm just hoping you're getting it, the information out to the community.
The only thing that we have done is I have monthly reports that I hand into my commission, and I do quarterly reports to the Board of Selectmen. So we provided, I have provided before and after pictures of the space behind the tennis courts at Weed Beach, and some photos of Cherry Lawn, but we have not reached out to any newspapers. But I do think that's a great idea.
Between the Green Team and the magazine that is Pam DeVosler, that had a magazine and has reopened one. It has some sections on the environment. So maybe if it's okay, we'll just stay in touch if we know anybody that might be interested in telling that story, if that's okay with you.
Great, that's perfect.
Pamela, if you could send those pictures to us, we could send those to Pam and say, look what's happening, great story here, and kind of give her your contact and make an introduction there if that interests you. As
we
it's
can put them on our
fantastic.
social media too, right? Carolyn
Absolutely.
can put them out.
Yeah.
I think the timing is really important on this, because there's so much sadness over losing all those trees, whether it was Eversource or Metro North. So to see this project and kind of teasing out the difference between some of the stuff you removed, Pamela, was not healthy, not good for our environment. And that's to be distinguished between that and what's happening at the train station and some of those other projects. So I think there's a lot of need for education. The other thing I want to say really quickly on the signage, I have a 6-year-old, and I was in the school systems doing the Skip the Straw campaign a couple years ago before COVID. And I think a lot of the signage, our audience, if you will, are kind of K through 4. Because when a my 6-year-old reads every single sign that exists. And mommy comes and reads the sign with her. Is mommy going to read that sign first? Maybe not. But I think if we make them fun, or, I'm thinking about my Cricut at home and being able to put on a metal bin some kind of cute, cool sign for elementary age, that's going to draw them in. And kids were skipping the straw. Kids were telling their parents to skip the straw. Kids were talking about why to skip the straw. I mean, I really think that's our audience for change, and the parents are going to kind of follow. So I just throw that out as you think about signage as more fun or simpler for a younger age than maybe what we usually think of as signage for adults.
I think that's a great point, Amanda. I'm going to chime in. I don't know if anyone here made it to our Tilly Pond event, our old-fashioned holiday event, but one of the things that I implemented there, I'm trying to incorporate with some of our other events that we do. But we had a station where we purchased compostable cups. We put up some signage for the kids, that said, we cut out a Rudolph reindeer head and we said, feed him your leftover hot cocoa, and then recycle your cup for reindeer food, and then explained kind of some information and fun facts for the kids to read while they were in line and that type of thing. So. I agree. Some sort of fun things on the garbage cans or some sort of promo could help with the push of all that.
And to that, Cassie and Pamela, as whether it's for the signage at the beaches or what you might be able to acquire as a reusable recycling center, whatever we'll call it. Would you be interested in seeing some photos through various sources? We have some interesting pictures from Sailors for the Sea that would do it at a regatta, which would be an outdoor event, and there are some other places that we maybe give you some pictures. New Canaan purchased a set that is usable throughout the town, and you can request it for different public events or something like that. I don't know what theirs looks like. I'm sure
I have
Carolyn,
a picture of it
have a
somewhere.
picture. So maybe we can give you some ideas of what things might look like, and then you could
That'd be
challenge them,
fantastic.
to what you've got. And you might say, no, but this one actually might make sense in our landscape or whatever. So
I'd
maybe
really appreciate that.
so I'm sort of hearing that we could assist you possibly by talking to your concession stand folks when they're trying to do the right thing down at the beach. We could give you some ideas of what sets might look like for your events. Do you have, and we can do some advertising or publicity of sharing of the invasive species thing. So there are 3 things right now from a 15-minute conversation where we could share. And I think that's great. That's kind of why I was hoping to hear your energy. It gives us energy. And at the same time, we individually sit in a lot of green team meetings with the town, with all the groups in the town, or go to, recycling conferences, and the back and forth. It would be just a lot easier if we kind of kept in touch. So, Carolyn, you've been quiet, but I know you are involved in many of these topics.
Oh, I just have a question for Pam. Backing up to recycling and how people are putting, you said you ordered new bins that have just a circle. So it sounds to me like and I think maybe this is wherein the confusion with the public comes in, because people are used to putting multiple types of materials and items in their recycling bin. And when they see a public recycling container, I think that they're thinking they can do the same thing there. But it sounds to me, based on the new cans that you purchase, that you really only want metal and glass and plastic beverage containers, and you don't want people to recycle like pizza boxes and things of that nature. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, that's what we were considering, yes, because it was all the food was getting, in terms of our park group, they felt that they couldn't recycle if it was all mixed with food.
And they
Okay,
can't.
right. Yeah, no, it can't. Even in a resident's home recycling bin, they're not supposed to put anything with food in it. But yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that maybe that's where in the confusion with the public is, because since people are used to putting pizza boxes and, like a plastic tray that sushi comes in their recycling bin at home, they're thinking they can do the same here. And it sounds like that's not what you want. It sounds like in your recycling bins, you only want those beverage containers because you feel that the food containers, because they can't be rinsed, that there's too much food residue that causes contamination. So maybe the cans, in addition to having the round, I think the round, if that's what you want, I think having the round tops is going to be more conducive to them recycling only those beverage
Smaller
containers.
things.
But in addition, maybe having, to Amanda's point earlier about signage, maybe something that appeals to kids that just says, you only want, the plastic, metal, and glass beverage containers, some kind of signage that indicates that. I think that's why you're getting a lot of people just don't know where to put what, because
Yeah.
it's not set up the same way in their own home.
I also think with that, the consistency, whatever you do at the beach is all at the beach or all at both beaches or in the
Yeah.
properties, and then the people that are frequenting them see them. As also at the beach that I belong to, we made 8x10 colored sort of sticky things that were like a big sticker, and we did it mostly with pictures, so there weren't a lot of words. And I just happened to be this morning at a yacht club drop. I had to drop somebody off, and their bins were the wording was simple, but they just said, trash only, no liquids please, and then bottles and cans only, no liquids please. So I mean, they kind of, you focus on what you think you can get by with and understand. And so if you're working on that or you want any ideas, again,
Yeah, I feel it too. I feel like we
familiar.
need to do a better job
Yeah.
in our parks. We're starting now at the beaches because it's because our guys feel like they can't separate, and therefore they're recycling nothing.
Nothing.
Right? So we want to at least be able to do our part somewhere. And now that's only the beaches. Never mind the parks. The parks don't have any recycling cans. So we really need to do better.
Yeah.
But any ideas that you have? I mean, I'm a sponge right now.
And for Cassie, you made me think of it with the reindeer. It's like our team logo is the wave, and we're talking the beach. So that school wave, all that. I love, Cassie, what you were saying. It's like the wave. Please keep these out of my wave. Glass, and it's like a picture, right? With please don't feed me these or whatever. But that wave would be nice, because then that really gets even the middle school and high school kids involved, because they love that wave, because they love the sports and they love Darien wave. So I mean, and it makes so much sense at the beach. So I just, now I'm daydreaming this. I love that kind of stuff. So
Save the wave.
And I promised you, save the wave. You've got it right there.
That's
I promised you,
cute. Yeah.
Pam, that we would ask you for about 15 minutes of time, and we've taken you all the way till 12:30. So I want to thank you for sharing what you're working on, Cassie, as well. It's also nice to see the faces when we come around town hall or whatever. Mohan is new to the committee, Amanda relatively new. Carol and Cliff and I have been trudging around for a while, but I just think it's nice when everybody sees each other's face and can can connect if something comes up. So thank you for sharing what you set a high bar for whoever the next invite is. Who do we get in here?
That's great.
Who do we invite next?
Well, thank you very much for having us. We appreciate it. And any ideas, please send them our way, you know?
Terrific.
And Cassie's an incredible graphic person. As you can see, she already threw out a few ideas that, I'm sure her head is spinning like a hamster wheel.
Thank you so much for helping us. We'll give you at least to let you know, the Nature Center does something on Earth Day, and Carolyn's going to have a booth talking about the food scraps and how to recycle. So we're educating the public in other places. So as that's happening, we're giving a talk at the Darien Library on the 18th in the morning, which is talking trash, which is sort of all about what goes where and why recycle or what doesn't get recycled and why it's better to get food out of the waste stream, all the things we talked to you about, the crisis of no place to throw anything away. So we're trying on our side
I signed
to
up.
spread the word. Oh, awesome. Great to hear that. Oh, no. Thank you for everything. We'll see you soon then.
All right. We're gonna say goodbye.
You can
Thanks,
hop off.
everybody.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey,
Thank you.
Cassie. Nice meeting
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Nice.
Okay. Well, I hope I really enjoyed hearing from Pam, and she gives me energy every time I meet with her. Get lots of things to think about. We can follow up with her. Maybe we can collect, anybody have ideas and then send her a follow-up if we have a bunch of pictures or something like that.
Yeah, or
Oh, and I have a cat
if
who's scratching my furniture. Excuse me.
If they share pictures on social media too, we can repost them.
Post
We
them.
can
So
share
you
them
could
on
maybe talk
ours.
to,
So,
you could talk to
yeah.
Cassie
I'll send
directly
her
or
when I
something.
send her the New Canaan's recycling thing. I'll send her an email with a couple of different suggestions.
And I mean, the town could write up a big, nice piece about her in their newsletter too, if we
Yeah.
brought Marley back into it. Okay.
Mhm.
And there are lots of interesting looking cans. I realize the cost goes up. And if she gets to a point where some of the stuff that she wants would be really beneficial for the town, we might be able to make a case for a town-wide recycling center that could be used by Parks and Recreation at different events. That would probably fall under the waste management category if we don't have another use relative to food scraps that we want to use the NIP money for. Acquiring something might be something that we could get permission for.
And New Canaan got theirs from the Community Match Fund, so
Okay.
that's a possibility as well. We
Okay.
know that
Oh, yeah.
something
Okay. That would work.
match fund eligible.
Okay, cool. The next section, we don't have to talk about my part a lot. I mean, the library presentation is the 18th. It's been going out on social media. Thank you, Carolyn. Do you want to just tell us kind of again what you'll be doing at the Nature Center, and then we can talk about the Whole Foods, which is probably the most important.
Just quickly, I mean, this is, I think, the third year that they've had a Spring into Nature event on Earth Day, and I have a table set up, and I just talk to people about recycling food waste, whether they want to do it in their backyard, whether they want to hire a service like curbside compost. I give them information on that, or whether they want to participate in the town's program, and then I give them information on that. And I just have some little posters that show how to compost at home that they can take pictures of, and it's just informational, really. I have an actual like a tumbler composting bin, different ways to show them how to compost in their backyards if they want to do that. So that's on Saturday, April 22nd, Earth Day. During their they have two sessions, one in the early morning and one in the later morning. So
Fantastic.
we'll be doing that.
As you were speaking, Carolyn, you reminded me that we said we'd bring some things to the library for their tables for Earth Day, and I have not followed up on that. The postcards.
Yeah, I told them I would give them a stack of postcards, and I'll do that. I'll bring them on the 18th.
Okay, I have some, and I was going to ask if she wanted another set of postcards, but they were more related to like green boating and sort of some of that stuff about events. It's just a color thing that they could put out on to see if I will do that separately, send her one and see if she wants them, and I can get her some if she wanted to put them out. Because the
I had
timing is
also
right.
sent her the a PDF of the trifold if they wanted to print those out and have those on the table as well.
Okay. All righty. Whole Food scrap event. So we do not have Ed on today. So anything that we needed for him, I guess, would have to get taken offline. But I know, Amanda, you're on vacation. You probably want to get off the call as quick as you can. So,
My family probably does, but I'm willing to stay as long, right? Okay, so Whole Foods is on board. They've got a space for us. I need to follow back up with Ed. He had mentioned he had some options for like where to put the compost and bring it over. So that I need follow up. The other thing is I thought it would be nice to have some handouts on the table. Carolyn, are some of the handouts you're bringing to the nature center or the library ones we also want to have at this table, or do
Yeah,
we save?
definitely. Postcards. The postcards would be key to have because they're just easy to hand out.
Okay.
And they have all the information on them for people to get. It gives kind of a brief overview of what the program is and where they can get more information. So I'll get a stack of those to you as well.
Okay, that'd be awesome. And then can I have a compost system so I can have that there as well?
Oh yeah. You mean like a bin? I mean a kit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. As a matter of fact, did you want to try to sell a few kits
I'd
that
love
day?
that.
Like,
Yep.
maybe have like a half a dozen or so, and then they're there if people want to buy them, and then if you have them left over, you can just bring them to the DPW office on
I
Monday,
would
and
love that.
because she keeps 10 or 12 there to sell. So yeah, we'll coordinate offline.
Okay. And that's 9 to noon. So I'll be there the whole time. Whole Foods has a table for us in any kind of plug we can do. I did send them the flyer, um, or the graphic. I mean, there's a word for everything, or the poster, like whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Carolyn made a really nice piece that they're going to be putting out in the store. So if you're going over to Whole Foods, see if you see it.
Oh, I'll look for it.
Yeah, definitely. And they were also going to have some staff help, and so they seem really excited. I've had emails with 2 others.
fabulous.
I think they really like this concept. I said we'd love to have some balloons, or I wonder, and they said no balloons because that's against the mission. So I mean, they
Yeah.
really like this mission and this earth awareness. I guess my only question for the committee would be like, what kind of splashy something can we have that kind of draws the eye over?
Well, if you have the kits there, Amanda, what I used to do when we were selling the kits somewhere is if you stack like 3 of them, like a triangle, like 2 and then 1 on top,
Yep.
it kind of creates a visual that draws people over. So I
Okay.
would say the kits are kind of the visual that will attract people over.
Okay.
Don't you also have a banner that can be used?
Yep. Yeah, I was going to bring it to the nature center, but we can use it there. We'll figure something out. We'll have some kind of signage that can attract people over.
Okay. So you and I can coordinate that offline, Carolyn?
Yeah. Yeah, you're back next week, right?
Yep.
Sounds
Okay.
like you're just going to need to gather in some place and swap postcards, things of that
Yeah.
nature, or you guys can figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the kits. They're not at my house, for example. They're at the town garage. So I have to make an appointment with the supervisor of the town garage, go and get the kits, put them together, and then I'll get them to Amanda.
All right. And I can help with that. You let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, if you have an appointment, you could send it out, and maybe Christine or Amanda or I or Cliff, any one
It
of us
doesn't
maybe.
take a long time.
Okay,
So
okay, but if second person could do it and then help the driving, so up to
yeah,
you. I think
Thank
the
you, Carolyn.
only
sure.
that sounds fabulous. I do plan to be there for part of that morning. I don't know if I can do the whole 3 hours, but I do plan to be there. And I think the only other thing relative to the Darien Library presentation is part of their Earth Day, and obviously this event, the talk precedes it. Um, is they are going to raffle off some food scrap kits. So they're excited about spreading this idea, through their sustainability committee. So we do have really over the course of that 1 week, 3 different activities in the course of 5 days that we'll be spreading out around town talking about. So sounds good to me. So, okay. Anything else that you need, Amanda, from us?
I don't think so. There's
Okay.
probably something I don't know.
All right. Well, I think it sounds really good. You can all reach us all. Knowing that we're
Thanks.
going to run short on time and we have a couple more things to do, I'm going to move on. Approval of recommended volunteer agreement. You were all sent a copy of the volunteer agreement that has been worked on. There was one in 2014. I will give credit to Carolyn and Craig for working and editing it. I took a shot at it, tried to point out what had come from 2014 and what was newer. Dan looked at it. Cliff got into the loop to look at this and make continued, modifications based on the current situation. And he then got it to Ed, who made some edits. So this document has gone through. I think everybody on the committee had certain points of view, and the document itself. Do you feel the need for me to bring it up on the screen and have us take a look at it, or are people? I know we're going to have to see if Carolyn and Mohan come back to be able to take a vote, but Cliff, you know what it says. Amanda, you had seen it. You had some questions. Cliff kept working on it after your recommendation. So trying, I can't imagine. Maybe we need to go on until they're back live to take a vote. What do you think?
Yeah, I am here, Kathy. So I'm
You're
here.
here.
So
Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
off the
You're
because
off the
yeah.
camera. Okay. Well, I think Carolyn left and I would like
Yeah.
her here. I think she said she had some workmen. So
Yeah.
we can discuss it and then possibly take a vote afterwards. Cliff, do you want to make any comments beyond what I've said about the thorough process of engaging with Dan and Ed and everybody else? You also did go to the training that was done by the town a couple of days ago. So you have any comments before we vote?
What was that like?
You know, there certainly are tweaks that could always be made to a document, and I'm sure that with the passage of time, we'll find out things need to be changed and so on. But I feel as though all ideas have been considered, and the big open items like when can the volunteers take things, and what are the closing procedures, they've been dealt with, and I think we're ready to vote. I'm ready to vote.
I am ready to vote.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, change as time change. I think in its current solid enough. So I'm vote on it.
And I think it gives up. I was not at the training that the town did, but the town really took the time to, hear from the volunteers, provide some sort of background educational training on how they expect the facility to operate. We've looked at the stuff that related to don't throw things away into the trash that can be recycled, the hours that we're going to be there, a lot of issues, how much parking they can use. So a lot of issues have sort of been dealt with, and at least it serves as a discussion piece.
Did they use this document at that?
No, they talked about the concepts that were in the document. Is that a fair way to say it, Cliff?
Yeah.
And so is the idea this gets approved and then they sign off, the volunteers sign off on this document?
Yeah.
Yeah. It would give a record of the names of who volunteers. They would have a signature, they would have an emergency contact, and it would just be done. That would have to be done by the town. As an advisory committee, we have no authority or responsibility to do anything other than tell them, based on what we know about how the place operates, this is what we think would be an appropriate agreement for them to sign, to have on record.
Was there pushback, Cliff, on any of these pieces, or was it real straightforward and everybody seemed on board?
I would say that that there was a reasonable back and forth, not a heavy pushback, and that it resulted in further clarity. I mean, my own personal thinking on this has evolved dramatically. I mean, I don't know how long ago it was when we were talking about the first version of this, but it has to be many months. And I felt, wait a minute, these volunteers are there to serve the town. They shouldn't be taking things from the swap shop unless nobody else wants them, and they shouldn't have any first priority or anything like that. And then I got to the reality of the situation, and that's one of the two reasons they go there, is so that they can get things. The other reason they go, I mean, they're not motivated the way we are. I mean, their motivation is either to get things or to socialize. They are there among their friends. It's a socialization thing. So, if that's the reality and you don't have any other volunteers, you have to rethink it. And in my rethinking, I came to appreciate, well, guess what? These volunteers are also citizens of the town. Why should their rights be any less than anybody else's? So anyway, I think we got to a place where they have equal rights.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? If not, I would like to put the volunteer agreement that you all received in your mail by me to a vote. The motion would be to submit this document back to Ed Gentile as our recommendation for volunteer members of the swap shop to sign, that gives them guidelines to the operating procedures of the swap shop, and ask them to abide by the code of conduct that we had approved and is posted at the swap shop.
Kathy, can I just ask, I apologize, I had to step away for a couple minutes, but were there any suggested changes?
Not to the document that was sent out
Okay,
yesterday.
just wanted to know what I was voting on. Okay, thanks.
The document yesterday had been sent out multiple times and had received many changes by members of this committee and by Ed.
All right, so moved.
A motion to approve by Amanda. I will second that.
Vote affirmative. We're good. Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
So all
Yes.
unanimous. Okay.
Yes.
Unanimous. KF and Amanda. Thank you, folks. I will send that document to Ed. I will copy the whole committee as well. And then it's up to them to implement how they would communicate that out through Dan or Kate Bush or the other staff in town. All righty. Okay, we're running down to 10 minutes, and I don't know that there's much on communications that we haven't talked about. I think there were some opportunities to share communications based on Pam. Does anybody have any, do you have any update on the magazine? I haven't seen it in my mailbox yet. Anybody received it?
No.
So we're waiting on that. I have one, and if I can show it to you, I want to just make one point of communication that I had through the Sustainable Fairfield County yesterday. I know there's a way to share the screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would basically, it's easier for me all right, now, is there a way to?
Yeah, there is a button
Okay.
which says share. Yeah. Upload button.
Why is it not sharing my one page here? Does it have to be open first to share it?
Yeah, the document has to be opened. Yeah.
All
It
right,
will
I'm
share your
trying
screen. Yeah.
that. Okay, so I'm gonna. It's not letting me do it. Cancel. I don't know how to do this, and let me try again. Now it's open. Let's see if I can share it. Not letting me. I don't know what I'm doing.
What is it, Kathy?
Oh, there. It was a document I made, so I'll just read you what it says. Well, I'm going to open it up. I attended, and I can send it around to you. Part of the monthly Sustainable Fairfield County meetings, which are held on Tuesdays, usually the day before our meeting. That it has groups that work on food scraps. Carolyn's participated in. Daphne Dixon of Live Green runs the meeting. Mohan, you'd heard from Claire, one of Daphne's people, on relative to EVs. And one of the guest speakers yesterday was explaining the EV charger rebate programs that exist through Eversource and United Illuminating. And it was illuminating. Haha. There are substantial rebate amounts available to homeowners, but also to municipalities, workplaces, and other public spaces that can rebate up to $20,000 towards the installation of an EV charger. And I know, Mohan, you've been trying to figure out what we have in our fleet, and we talk about a lot of things relative to EV charging infrastructure is needed to have a fleet, et cetera, et cetera. And the funds are available, and in some cases, depending on configurations, could cover almost the entire cost of adding EV chargers to a site. And if you're a municipality, I think you have to put 2 ports in to be eligible for the money at a site, two ports at a site. And the money, the grant money would be up to $20,000. And that's to cover the infrastructure and part of the equipment, certain soft cost signage and things of your own. I just think it's really important, if Ed had been on the phone, on the call, to at least talk with him if he had worked with Eversource yet on these materials, or was, looking at places. This is certainly information that if any other workplace or public place that you talk to people in town or in a home, the funds are, the effort to make the communities in Connecticut EV ready, the money is there. Underrepresented communities can get up to double what a regular community can get, and it is significant funds. So I have 2 or 3 more charts, and maybe next time we can ask Ed or get them to him and see. Point of this, had Ed been here, would be to say, have we done any research on this, and could we as a community look into this funding? So that was my only communication with another organization that I thought was interesting. And I don't know, Mohan, whether the charging infrastructure came up at all, at least in your initial conversations, which were really about what do we have in our fleet? Which really leads
Right.
to the ending of the meeting is, what are you doing on that? Tell us.
No, I think yeah. So I reached out to Kate, and then she's of course sent me the inventory of all our vehicles. Yep, as I can see, there is nothing hybrid or EV, which is clear from all the fleets. What was surprising to me is Anthony said in the past, I did ask him, okay, there are grants available. What you guys have done, and moreover, right now the Inflation Reduction Act gives you a lot of leverage in terms of electrifying. That's really our tool to electrify everything. I think we can electrify most of the town fleet if we can. That's my understanding, but certainly we can validate that. What Anthony's email said was, in the past, when they looked at all these funding sources, they were related to only charging stations. My question then is, fine, so if we could not get EV rebates, fine, but why did we not consider any of the charging infrastructure to be built out in town? I don't know if they had any issues or barriers to do that, or maybe the thought process was really focused on, looks like they were only focused on vehicles, not looking at it as holistic. Can we promote charging facility itself in town? Again, those are the conversations we need to have. I think they have a webinar this weekend. I think Anthony's attending this week. So I'm waiting for him to complete those training sessions so we can sit down next week and talk more as to what the learnings are. Again, certainly, Kathy, we can share some of the other things you shared now and say it's not just about electrifying our fleet, looking really as a holistic approach to how do we try to reduce our carbon footprint, not just from one angle. Yeah.
And in this community, that is, how can you make an economic case to do it? And right now,
Of course. Yeah.
there are
Right.
the EV infrastructure is being heavily promoted through the state and through UI and Eversource, because the goal to get EV charging at workplaces. There's legislation that in any new construction or school, there'll be a large amount there will be a requirement for a certain number of electric ports in any new construction or new school building. So these things are coming, and they're coming legislatively, and they're coming with money. So this is a conversation to be continued. The only point that is also interesting is I've been attending Live Green's 5 sessions so far. There are 10 of them, where it's not just Mohan. I think the funding for the infrastructure, what I've learned through these other seminars is that having planning and zoning and building code involvement is important. And there have been representatives from Brookfield and Greenwich, and I think one other place, that have implemented EV charging policies that for new construction, and they become really important because there's lots of stuff that go way out of my pay grade on everything from, can the EV charging stations have advertisements on them, which aren't allowed in a lot of places, but it's a way to make money, to where they'd go and how many you'd have to have and things of that nature and who can use them. So there's a lot going on in Fairfield County with people trying to sort this out. And it's probably a good time
Yeah.
to be having those conversations. I have reached out to planning and zoning, but I haven't heard back.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think again, right? So it's just a matter of whether they know what else is happening. I know most of the times our government officials are they're working on many things. There is also the capacity issue. I think that's where they struggle.
right.
Yeah, we will continue to have this. Just making sure to bring this, Kathy, what other towns are doing. That itself could be a bit of an incentive or an accelerator we can use. It's not a shaming thing. It's really educating them, saying, look,
No.
everybody else is doing, we can't be left behind, right? So yeah, let's
Well,
continue this
and other
conversation.
people have gone through some of the pain, and they've learned some things. You don't have to
Exactly.
reinvent the
Yeah,
wheel.
exactly. No,
Okay.
absolutely. That's the benefit. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So the things we're working on, food scraps, we've talked about that a lot with Earth Day. Mohan did quite a bit of work to at least know what we've got in our fleets, which is helpful. We're gathering some on what's going on to help fund infrastructure development. And our collaboration with schools, I guess, is kind of where one of the other top priorities that we're still waiting to hear back. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm still waiting to hear back, and I think I don't know exactly what's going on, but with the vacation and so on, I thought I should wait just a bit, but I
Yep.
don't expect to wait much longer.
Okay. I will also send your letter, as I said, to Kevin Munret, who's a facilities person, saying just wanted to share with you something that we communicated with your boss. Okay. All right. Anything else we need to talk about today? It's just 1 o'clock, 12:50, 1 o'clock. Yeah. Carolyn?
I mean, I would just mention something that that we're not like there is this USDA grant that we have been approached about from the Center for Ecotechnology that has to do with the promotion of food scrap recycling in both the schools. So it kind of goes along with what you were just mentioning, and restaurants, like local businesses. And it would be a grant that we would be applying for in conjunction with several other local communities, but it's not in the phase yet. Someone has to take ownership of it. It has to be applied. Center for Ecotechnology cannot apply for the grant. One of the relevant communities has to be a government entity. So far, we're going to be having hopefully a meeting on this on Monday, and hopefully one of the communities will. I think Fairfield might be poised to volunteer, and this could bring some fairly significant funds to us to be able to not pay for the recycling, but for marketing and education purposes. So
And a ramping up.
we'll hopefully have more to report on that next time.
What about Norwalk? Diane Keefe or any of them involved in this?
So the original email went out to numerous community representatives, and only a certain number of them, including us, responded. So we are the only ones who are in that pool right now. But I do believe that New Canaan is interested also, and they weren't among the people who received this email, but in talking to Robin Mason, she said she believes that they are interested. So I mean, I think the more of us locally and, kind of in a group who can do it together, I think the greater impact we'll have, because people from Darien dine in Stamford and Norwalk and vice versa. So, I think that it would be good to have more participants.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'll learn more at the meeting that they will be having hopefully next week.
Okay. I was going to ask Diane, but she wasn't on the Sustainable Fairfield County meeting, so I couldn't hear. She had someone else speak on her behalf relative to the food scraps, which also would be for her, Norwalk. All right, Mahan has to go. It is 1:02. Shall we adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
At
all right, I'm going
Dr.
to
Yaw.
turn the.
Bye.
Thank you, Mahan.
Okay,
Thank you. Bye.
bye-bye.